right, let's jump right into this, huh? The 49ers and the Seahawks, a matchup that, well, it always gets the energy up, doesn't it? We're diving into the Niners' latest win, and as you all know, this one had a little extra juice to it. It's not just about this season, right? It's about the whole history of this rivalry.
Yeah, and with the Seahawks under new management this season, there was almost this feeling in the air like, could this be the year they finally flip the script? Especially with the Niners stumbling a bit out of the gate at 2-3.
Right, and especially
Everyone
because
remembers how those Pete Carroll-led teams struggled against San Francisco, so there's definitely that added layer of pressure, right? Can the new guy finally get over the hump?
And honestly, for a while there, it felt like we were about to see the same old story play out. I mean, that first half, the 49ers looked like a well-oiled machine. That opening drive, they just marched down the field just like, methodical and dominant. Touchdown.
And you really saw the contrast in their offensive game plans on that first drive. The 49ers, they came out balanced, established that run game, set up the play action. They were just one step ahead the whole time.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And it felt like every time the Niners needed a big play, boom, there it was. Mustafa, with that interception, picking off that pass meant for Lockett, totally swung the momentum back their way.
Yeah.
And then what do? March right back down the field, 90 yards, another touchdown, like a clinic.
Yeah.
By halftime, it was 23-3, and you got to be honest, it felt like game over.
Oh, yeah. If you were a Seahawks fan who watched them go through it against the Niners back in the Carroll era, that first half probably gave you some serious deja vu. It really made you wonder, right? New coach, but same old story.
But this is where it gets really interesting. The 49ers, I mean, they looked unstoppable that first half, but they've shown some cracks this season, haven't they?
Oh, absolutely.
Blowing those 2 fourth-quarter leads earlier in the season made you wonder if this team was really as invincible as everyone thought.
Yeah, and this game almost turned into another one of those, right? Seahawks come roaring back in that third quarter. And it all starts with that, I mean, you got to be kidding me, 97-yard kickoff return for a touchdown by Laviska Shenault Jr.
Talk about a momentum shift. 1 minute you're cruising, next thing you know, the game's right back in reach.
And that wasn't just a flip play or anything, That exposed a real weakness in the 49ers special teams coverage. They've had a couple of those lapses this season.
Right, and against a team like Seattle. That can come back to bite you.
Absolutely. I mean, you can maybe get away with it against a weaker opponent, but against the top teams in the league, those kinds of mistakes, they can be the difference between winning and losing.
It makes you wonder, right? Like those blown leads earlier in the season, maybe it's more than just the offense sputtering in the fourth quarter.
Right.
If your special teams are giving up big plays like that,
Yeah.
it puts so much pressure on the rest of the team to be absolutely perfect.
Exactly. And on top of that, you've got the 49ers already playing without Christian McCaffrey, and then Jordan Mason goes down with that shoulder injury. All of a sudden, a team that was loaded at running back, now they're relying on backups to carry the load.
And those backups, to their credit, they did step up. Hearing Davis-Price, Elijah Mitchell, they both made some big plays.
Yeah.
But still, that's another potential weakness.
Right.
Can they hold up over a full season? It's a question we're going to have to wait and see the answer to.
It is. It's one of those things that's easy to overlook when a team's winning, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on as the season goes on. Now, despite all that, the Seahawks, they weren't able to fully capitalize on those 49ers mistakes. They made it a game, but for a while there, they just couldn't get over that hump.
Yeah, it felt like Geno Smith, I mean, the Seahawks offense, they had a few chances, right?
Yeah.
To really take control of the game, but it's like they couldn't quite get over that hump.
It was like there was that moment late in the fourth where it really felt like the momentum had shifted. Seahawks are driving, down by just a touchdown, and Smith, he's got DK Metcalf wide open deep down the field.
I remember thinking, this is it. This is where they take the lead.
Right, it had that feeling. But that throw, just a bit off, and Renardo Green, the rookie, comes down with the interception. Clutch play.
And that was the turning point, wasn't it? Like we talked about earlier, those key moments. Niners get the ball back, march down the field, and boom. Kittle, second touchdown of the game.
You're right. That whole sequence, it kind of summed up the game. The Seahawks, they showed those flashes, right? Like they could really make the 49ers pay for those mistakes. But in the end, San Francisco, they just made the plays when they absolutely had to have them.
Yeah, and got to give credit where it's due. Garindo, that 76-yard run to set up another score, then Juzzy punching it in to seal the deal. I mean, that was vintage 49ers in those final minutes.
Exactly. They might have shown a few cracks early on, but that championship DNA, it's still there. When the pressure was on, they got it done.
So where does that leave us? The 49ers, they get the win. They're sitting on top of the NFC West. But, and I don't know about you, but I'm walking away from this one with this feeling of, I don't know if unease is the right word, but like it's not just that they won, right? It's the questions this game brought up.
And isn't that the mark of a good deep dive? We've gone beyond the box score, beyond the headlines even, uncovered some storylines that could have some serious legs as the season goes on.
Yeah.
Are the 49ers really back? That dominant force we've seen in the past? Or are these cracks we saw, are those a sign of things to come?
Those special teams mistakes, relying on the backup running backs,
Right.
those are issues that don't just fix themselves overnight.
Nope. And with the schedule they've got coming up, they're going to be tested. I guarantee you, if I'm an opposing coach, I'm watching that game film, and I am looking for ways to exploit those same weaknesses.
So for everyone listening, it's not enough to just know the 49ers won this one. It's the how and the why that matter. Keep an eye on those things we talked about as the season goes on. Can they clean them up, or will they be their undoing? That's what we'll be watching for in the weeks to come.